Today, we're diving into something that I think every parent, guardian, or mentor worries about: our kids' confidence. We're going to talk about some hidden habits that, even with the best intentions, might be doing more harm than good.
It's a really tough question to ask ourselves, isn't it? We pour so much into raising strong, confident kids. But what if some of the things we do, thinking we're helping, are actually sowing seeds of doubt? Well, that's exactly what we're here to uncover. And just to be super clear, this isn't about finger pointing or bad parenting. Not at all. This is about common, well-meaning habits that just have these unintended side effects. These are things that fly completely under the radar for most of us. The research we're looking at today actually points to 7 of these common traps. Now, for this explainer, we won't get to all of them, but we are going to break down 3 of the absolute biggest, most powerful ones to really bring them into the light. So let's think of these as hidden traps. They're sneaky, they can look a lot like good advice or even motivation. But the thing is, over time, the buildup, that cumulative effect, can be huge. It can end up creating an inner voice of doubt for our kids instead of one of strength.
All right, so where do we start? We start with our words. The words we choose have incredible power, right? They can build a child up, create this amazing fortress of confidence, or they can chip away at it one little phrase at a time. We're going to zoom in on those verbal habits, the ones that can make a kid feel less than. And we're going to start with what might be the most common trap of all. Oh boy, the comparison game. We've all seen it. And let's be honest, a lot of us have probably done it. Comparing our kid to a sibling or a cousin or that star student in class, really thinking we're just giving them a little push to do better. And this right here is where things get lost in translation. This is the crucial gap between our intent and the actual impact. You might think you're providing a positive role model, but the message that lands, the one that a child really internalizes, is a feeling of inadequacy. What they hear is, the way you are right now just isn't cutting it. This really nails the core problem. Comparison basically teaches a kid to look outward, to constantly measure themselves against everyone else, instead of looking inward at their own journey and their own progress. We're accidentally training them to find their value in other people's approval, not from within themselves. Okay, so it starts with words, but it doesn't stop there. This next trap is about how those words can build into actions, behaviors that don't just diminish a child, but can actually make them feel really alone with their feelings. This one is, it's so easy to fall into. Picture this. Your kid is super upset about something that to you seems tiny. And what do we say? Things like, oh, stop crying, or you're fine, or the classic, it's not a big deal. We think we're teaching them to be tough, to be resilient. But look at this chain reaction. It's like a domino effect. When we wave away their feelings, we're not actually teaching resilience. We're teaching them to suppress their emotions. The lesson they learn is that their feelings are an inconvenience or maybe just wrong. And what's the long-term result of that? They stop bringing their true feelings to you. That door for open, honest communication, it starts to creak shut. There's actually a clinical term for this: emotional invalidation. And it's as serious as it sounds. It sends this incredibly powerful message that their inner world, their reality, isn't valid. And for a developing sense of self, that's a really deep blow. All right, so we've talked about negative words and dismissive actions. But what about the good stuff? What about praise? Praising our kids has to be a good thing, right? Always? Well, this next one is a little counterintuitive. Let's call it the praise paradox. It seems totally backward, I know, but the answer is yes, a surprising yes. It turns out the type of praise we give makes all the difference. It can either build real resilience or, believe it or not, it can create a fragile confidence that's actually terrified of failure. This table just breaks it down so perfectly. Okay, look at the column on the left. Let's call it empty praise. Phrases like, you're so smart, or you're a natural. See how they focus on a fixed trait? It tells a kid their abilities are just set in stone. So what happens when they fail? Well, it must mean they aren't smart enough, and that's a terrifying thought. But now look to the right, at process praise. This is all about praising the effort, the strategy, the choices. It celebrates the hard work, not just the A+. This is what builds a growth mindset and teaches a child that a challenge isn't a threat. It's just something you work through. Okay, so we've identified these traps, which can feel a little heavy. So what's the solution? How do we actually turn this ship around? This is where we pivot from just being aware of the problem to taking action. It's about consciously building that inner fortress of confidence we talked about.
So here are the big takeaways, the simple swaps we can make. Instead of comparing, let's celebrate their own personal best. Let's track their own journey. Instead of dismissing their big feelings, let's validate them. You don't even have to solve the problem for them. Just acknowledging it with something as simple as, I can see you're really sad about this, is incredibly powerful. And as we just saw, praise the process, not the person. Praise their effort, their choices. This is how you build real, lasting psychological resilience. And let's all take a deep breath here, because the goal isn't to be a perfect parent. That's impossible. Nobody is. The goal is just to be a more conscious one, to be more aware of our words, our actions, and the huge impact they have on these amazing little people we love so much. So I'll leave you with this final thought to really chew on. The way we talk to our kids today literally becomes their inner voice tomorrow. So what will that voice sound like? Will it be one of comparison and criticism? Or will it be a voice of self-compassion, resilience, and a belief in their own hard work? The choice, whether we're conscious of it or not, is ours to make. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.